And we're live, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Sit Down. We are now on episode 9 of season 2. I am T. Harris at When the Needle Drops.
And I'm QG at the Nerdy Little Bubba.
All right, so again, our mission at the Saturday Sit Down is to share our love for music in a way that is accessible and enjoyable for everyone, from the novice to the knowledgeable. And as we always say, we've been saying from day one, we strive to never, ever, ever be loud and wrong. Let the church say amen.
Amen.
Amen. So before we get into our show topic, one thing I want to discuss real quick are those who we lost in the music industry, man. Q, man, if it has been an extremely heavy month in the music industry. Golly, where do I start? So recently we've lost Dwayne Wiggins.
Yep.
Dwayne Wiggins from Tony, who I didn't even know was sick. But now it makes sense why they did that last tour, because he'd been suffering from cancer. So it made sense, and I'm glad that the fans were able to get to see them. Did you get to see them perform before on this most recent tour, which was 2023, I think?
No, because by the time I found out that they were coming, they did a show here in DC, and by the time I found out too late. Tickets were already sold out. So
yeah,
I wish I had made it.
Same here, man. Everybody I know said it was quite the experience. I didn't get to go either. They came to Columbia. They performed at the Township on a Friday night, and it was a no electronic devices concert. So everybody I know said it was dope because, like, there weren't phones up and people recording. You got to actually immerse yourself in the music. So again, man, Tony, one of the preeminent 90s R&B groups, lost one of their frontmen and founders, Dwayne Wiggins, the brother of Raphael Wiggins, Raphael Sadiq, actually. We lost Angie Stone.
Now, that one was complete shock, surprise, and of course, it hit us hard because she is a product of Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we lost Angie. That was definitely a surprise. She's actually coming back from a performance when her Sprinter van flipped over, and of course, met her untimely demise in a car accident. Like you said, man, Angie Stone. I'll talk a little bit about this when we get into the show topic, but she is one of the first ladies of hip hop.
That's right.
And the first ladies of neo soul.
That's right.
So her career spanned 40 plus years. We're not just talking about the 90s to the 2000s. We're talking about back in 1979 on Sugar Hill Records, but we'll get more into that later. We lost Roy Ayers.
That one was a little rough too, because I'm a big fan of Roy Ayers' music, even though I discovered it late as an adult, but still.
Yeah, same, man. Roy Ayers' music, I call him, he became known as the godfather of neo soul because he embraced that sound. He was the forerunner of that sound when he was doing this thing with Ubiquity in the 70s. Of course, we know Roy Ayers also was heavily sampled in hip hop as well in the early 90s, early to mid 90s. So,
and the thing is, and what I liked about Roy Ayers is that he embraced the hip hop community. Like a lot of artists, they kind of, didn't want the music to be sampled, or, they thought hip hop was, whatever. But Roy actually embraced hip hop.
He did. Some more losses, man. I'm just going to go down the list, man. We can hit on a brief. Irv Gotti. Irv Gotti started out as with Def Jam, ended up founding Murder Inc., which gave us Ja Rule and Ashanti. People also forget that he was DMX's first manager and got him his deal at Def Jam. Roberta Flack.
Yep.
It's another one. That was a heavy loss as well.
Icon.
Icon. Musical genius. Chris Jasper. We just did an episode on the Isley Brothers, man.
Yep, we did. I mean, he gave us the timeless classic for 1985, Caravan of Love, with Jasper Isley.
Yes, sir. Also, man, Gwen McCrae.
Yep, she gave us a classic from 1974, Rockin' Chair, and she was married to George McCrae, who gave us Take Me In On, Rock Me Baby.
Rock Me Baby. Yep, Rock Me Baby, and
I think for a second.
Yep, and I Get Lifted. Yep, which was performed by him and KC and the Sunshine Band.
Yep. And Gwen
Sam,
also had some hits in the 80s too. Because she had another song called Keep the Fire Burning, which was 1981, I think, Atlantic
yeah,
Records.
yeah. Sam Moore from Sam and Dave, the last
Mhm.
living member of that duo. Uh,
I
our
mean,
frat brother, Jerry the Iceman Butler.
oh, yeah, yeah. Only the strong survive.
Yeah, man. Valetta Wallace, Miss Valetta Wallace, the
Yep, Biggie's
mother
mom.
of the late great notorious Big, and
Mhm.
Barry Cooper, the music journalist who coined the phrase "New Jack Swing."
Yep.
Yeah, he's responsible for putting that word into our vocabulary and deeming that music what it is. That was the first time anybody ever heard that word, and folks ran with it. Also, man, I also want to, if anyone has had a family member or anyone who has passed recently, I can speak from personal experience. A couple weeks ago, I lost my aunt Tangela. She and I were only about 9 years apart. So
Mhm.
we pretty much grew up together in the 80s. And she introduced me to a lot of the music I love today. So she definitely played a role in my upbringing. So definitely want to give a shout out to my cousin, her only child, Anastasia. You know, we're praying for you. We love you. And I know we all have a guardian angel over us right now. So we're going to dedicate this episode to my aunt Tangela Harris in her memory, who passed unexpectedly a couple years ago. I mean, excuse me, a
Yeah,
couple weeks ago.
yeah, it's been a lot going on. So just all I can say is just hold on to the ones you love. Hug them real tight, hold them real tight.
Absolutely, man. So also, I cannot say this is our March live episode, but we have to give a shout out to the ladies.
That's
It's
right.
Women's History Month, so shout out to the women in our lives. Last Friday, if I'm not mistaken, was International Women's Day. So,
Mhm.
we can't be who we are without the women in our lives. So,
That's
thank you,
for
thank you,
sure.
thank you. Yeah. So, salute to the ladies. And that's just going to take us right into our topic for this afternoon. So, Q, tell the folks about today's show, man.
Today's show is we're giving flowers to the women of R&B and hip hop.
Yeah.
We're celebrating ladies first.
Yeah.
We decided to since this is Women's History Month, and we wanted to highlight the women that made music what it is,
Yeah.
or
Absolutely,
what it's
man.
gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. When we came up with our show topics for March, we said we're gonna hit on those albums by those ladies whose music provided a great influence on our taste and were a part of the soundtrack of our lives. So if you did not tune in, it's still up and available for you to watch on YouTube, just as this episode will be once it's finished recording, and as it is now. Our Saturday Sit Down Short, which debuted last Saturday, was about the miseducation of Lauryn Hill and the
Mhm.
impact and the influence of that album and how it was a game changer. So if you get an opportunity, please check that out. So I will say this, since we've already covered that album, and that album would have been in both of our top fives because it covers R&B and hip hop. We're not going to discuss it on today's show. So just want to
Right.
make that clear. Somebody says, "Oh, y'all forgot about the miseducation of Lauryn Hill." We did not.
Nope.
We dedicated an entire episode for that show. So
That's right.
be sure y'all,
Go
yeah,
check it
check,
out.
yeah, dedicate an entire episode to that album. Excuse me. So go, yeah, y'all go definitely check that out.
Mhm.
So before we get into our albums, Q, I want to talk about some monumental moments in music by the ladies of hip hop and R&B. So I'm gonna start with R&B. Okay,
Mhm.
1967, Aretha Franklin officially got the title as the Queen of Soul because of the signature song, which was a cover of Otis Redding's song "Respect," and that song
Mhm.
became a defining anthem in R&B and the feminist movement. I didn't know this until I did some research. In 1970, Diana Ross was the first Black woman to host the Academy Awards.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. 1970. 1985, Whitney Houston's self-titled debut went on to become the best-selling debut album of all time, male or female. 1992, Mary J. Blige, What's the 411 album created the hip-hop soul sound, and she officially became known as the queen of hip-hop soul.
Yep.
1994, Crazy Sexy Cool by TLC, first female rap album to be certified diamond. And the last R&B fact, It's actually a couple on this one. 2013, Beyonce released her self-titled album with zero announcement. Do you remember when that happened?
Yep, everybody was just running around like they
Yeah,
lost their mind.
they lost their mind, man. Like it released zero announcement, no promos, no nothing. She just dropped the video, dropped the album,
It went.
and the rest is history. Yeah, and bam. So Beyonce also holds the record as having received the most Grammy awards of any artist. She has 32 Grammys on her trophy case at her home.
And the thing I like is the Country Music Awards said no. The Grammy said yes. You are the best of country music for 2024, 2025.
Exactly.
So I love it. I love it.
Me too, boy. Folks' head was about to explode about that thing, but hey, it is what it is, man. All right. So hip hop, some hip hop monumental moments by female MC. Shay Rock, 1979, the first female MC in hip hop. She was part of Funky 4+1. They also were the first hip hop group to perform on Saturday Night Live.
Yep. Another product of Sugar Hill Records, I believe.
Yep. 1979, The Sequence, first female rap group and first rap group from the South. Yep. Those young ladies are from Columbia, South Carolina, and included a artist, a part of their group that was known as Angie B, who we got to know as Angie Stone much later on.
Yep.
All right, 1986, Salt and Pepper, first female rap group to achieve mainstream success with their song Push It. They were also the first rap group to go gold and later platinum.
Yep.
1989, MC Lyte, first female rapper to release a full-length album, not an EP, a full-length album. Light as a Rock. 1989, Queen Latifah's All Hail the Queen album brought you female empowerment in rap. She was a part of that Native Tongues movement. 1994, Funkdafied by the Brat, first female rap album to go platinum. 1999, Lauryn Hill's The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, first rapper and first rap female to win Album of the Year at the Grammys. She went home with 5 that night. And last but not least, Missy Misdemeanor Elliott, the first female MC to be inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, have 6 consecutive platinum albums and the first in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So those are some monumental moments by not only R&B artists, but hip hop artists as well. So Q, tell the good folks about our format change today. We're gonna do something a little different. We decided to do something a little different on this episode. So tell the folks about it, man.
So usually we would do top 5 songs of specific artists. Today we're gonna do the top 5 albums. I'm gonna give you 5 R&B albums. TH is gonna give you 5 hip hop albums, all R&B. I'm sorry, all lady MCs and or R&B singers. My bad.
Yeah.
And we got another surprise for y'all too later on in the show. Departure from what we normally do, but we'll save that after we get through our albums.
Yeah, we'll definitely save that, man. But yeah, we're gonna do albums this time instead of songs, and it'll still be the same. We'll talk albums, but we'll also sort of give you some background on the album, why we chose this album. Just a personal memory that is associated with it, some of the hit songs that came off of it. So the commentary won't change. It's just that we're discussing albums versus songs this time. All right. So Q, kick us off with your first one, man.
All right. So as always, this is not in any specific order. And also I want to give a disclaimer. I know my selections may throw some of y'all for a loop. Some people may say, well, why didn't you select so-and-so, such and such? Understand that I'm doing something a little different because I could throw out certain names, which is easy, but I want to give y'all something a little different. So starting things off with one of my favorites is none other than Sade, because it's not Sade, in country, I say Sade, but it's Sade. And the album is called Diamond Life from 1984-1985 Epic Portrait Records. Now, I found interesting was it was distributed in the UK by Epic, but in 1984. It didn't get distributed over here in the US till 1985, and it was under the Portrait label, which is a sub to Epic CBS Records. This album sold 10 million copies, and I understand why. It is solid from start to finish. Everybody's heard Smooth Operator. If you hadn't heard Smooth Operator, you must have been living under a rock.
And it's the first track on the album too.
It is. And then she also has another one called Hold On to Your Love. And what I like about this album is if you listen to all the tracks, it was kind of a departure from what the 80s sound was when this album came out. Because when this album came out, you got to understand, it was actually created in 1983. So 83 was at the height of what I call the electro Jerry Curl funk movement. You know, everything was electricized, synthesized, all that. Well, this album was not. This album had more jazzy elements than anything, and it was mid-tempo. It was definitely a departure from the norm, and it was a game changer in that it was able to cross over seamlessly. It's like they weren't trying to fit in any one category. So you heard it on, you know, R&B oriented stations, you heard it on pop stations, or what they call adult contemporary, you know, stations. It cut across the board.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, you said it all, man. In addition to the two songs you mentioned, don't forget this album also has "Your Love Is King" on it.
Oh yeah, definitely another classic. You know,
yeah, that's
and
another
you
classic.
know what I also like about this album? It gave you a saxophone piece or solo to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Across the board.
Yeah. I mean, you said it best. This didn't sound like anything that was mainstream R&B at the time. Right. It was all synthesized. It was all boogie, up tempo, and she gave her and her bandmates, because the band is named after her. But they gave us mellow smooth. That's what I call Sade's music, man. Mellow smooth music.
Mellow smooth music for sure.
Yeah. And Sade is 66 years old. If you've seen pictures of her recently,
she does not look 66, and especially given her background, so to speak. Because unfortunately she fell victim to a few things. She does not look like what she's been through.
No, absolutely not, man. Sade still looks like she looked 40 years ago when this initial album was released. So yeah, excellent first choice there, man. Great way to kick us off, man. I'm gonna jump into my number one. All right, so my number one is an album by a trio from New York. They were actually in nursing school together. Worked at the Sears at a Sears call center, along with two other guys who ended up becoming rappers, known as Kid and Play. As well as someone who became a famous comedian and movie star by the name of Martin Lawrence. They all worked in the same Sears department store. Okay. They ended up deciding to do music. Their first song, which was a response to Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick's The Show. Herbie Azar took that song to Marley Marl. It got radio play. These young ladies dropped out of nursing school, and they gave us this album right here. And my first album is none other than Salt and Pepper's debut album, Hot, Cool, and Vicious from 1986. So my mom, shout out to my mom, wore this album out. This isn't hers, by the way. She had the cassette, and she wore it off, and she bought it off of the strength of the song Push It. Everybody knows Push It, okay? First of all, the music video is iconic. It's like a little mini concert. They got Herbie on the keys. They got Spinderella back there spinning. They got they got the 8-ball jackets on. The 8-ball jackets with the Joker faces on them. Iconic music video. But man, like, not only that, you had the Showstopper on there. You had I'll Take Your Man. You had Tramp. My favorite song on the album is My Mic Sounds Nice.
I was just about to say that's my favorite too.
Yeah, My Mic Sounds Nice. Check one. Like that. Those are songs that I remember extremely well. Because like I said, my mom, this tape was in heavy rotation in my mom's car. Just a little known fact, man. Push It was not on the original release of this album. In fact, this particular version of the album I have, Push It ain't on here.
I was about to say, that came out after the album was already released.
It did. Push It was actually on the B side of Tramp. And the one that we know now and that we love, that we've grown to love and went mainstream, was actually a remix. So yeah, man, Push It, and from there it blew up, and these girls became household names. Again, one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time. Push It was a top 20 R&B Billboard hit. They were also one of the first artists that was nominated for a Grammy in 1988. and they participated in the hip hop boycott in 1988, where them along with the Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff and LL Cool J all
Yeah.
boycotted the Grammys because they refused to show the award being given on TV. And it's 2025, and they're still doing it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So I actually got this tape for one of my older cousins back in the day. And yeah, I played, the tape over and over because it was dope. I didn't even think, well, I'm listening to a bunch of girls. No, the song, the tape was solid from start to finish. And you know what I liked about the whole situation is when Martin got put on, because he started with What's Happening Now. When he started blowing up, he pulled Salt and Pepper and especially Kid and Play along with him.
Yep.
So I thought that was pretty cool. They all stayed tight,
They did. Yep.
collectively. So shout out to Martin and Kid and
Yeah.
Play. As a matter of fact, Kid and Play danced in their videos, their early videos.
They did. Yep. It's funny, man, how those groups were all interconnected with each other and showed each other love, man. That's those 80s hip hop artists. That's how it was, man. It was like, if one person gonna be successful, we all gonna be successful.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, that's my first album on the hip hop tip. So Q, give us your number 2. This right here is a banger, by the way.
Indeed it is. In fact, so much of a banger, I had to get a t-shirt made. I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's got some of my favorites on here.
Yeah.
So leading off with that, I'm going to go to the one and only queen of hip hop soul, Miss Mary J. Blige, who blessed us with the My Life album, 1994, Uptown, MCA Records. This album went 3 times platinum. This album, now granted, What's the 411 was the game changer because it meshed hip hop and soul. And Mary had the voice
seamlessly. She had the voice for it. Yep.
But My Life is what took it to the next level, in my opinion. Production was solid from start to finish. I mean, it hit you in the head with the very first track. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you want me, every day.
Yeah.
Give me your love and don't stop. My love
night long.
All night long. And so the album was just full of bangers. I remember I played this CD. I wore this CD out.
Yeah.
And that's what was so cool about the music back in the day. It didn't matter, that if it was man or woman singing. If it was dope music, it was dope music.
Bingo.
Now, I'm kind of surprised that the album didn't sell more than 3 million, because I feel like it should have been, at the top. But I think it was just helping Mary build steam. And she managed to avoid the sophomore jinx.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she dropped the banger as a debut and then just took it up a notch with this album. Yeah. And she parlayed the success of this album into being invited to participate on the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack by Whitney Houston, because Whitney basically handpicked her.
Yep. And I mean, that just goes to show. Now, granted, this was at the time, in my opinion, when I think Uptown was reaching its peak. Because after her third album on Uptown, that's when their fortune started kind of going downhill. And there's many different reasons for that. Now, I will say that the one who shall not be named did give a solid production.
Yeah, the one.
I mean, despite their misgivings, they were a hell of a producer back then. Even if they leaned on the samples heavy, he knew what to do with a sample. But outside of that, hey, this should be in everybody's top 10. And I'm not just talking about top 10 albums for women. This should just be in one of your top 10 R&B albums. And plus, it just reminds me of, it was the mid 90s, when the album dropped. This was in November 1994. So, I'm junior in high school, just got my little license. You know what I'm saying? Riding around, mom's had the fresh, brand new 1994 Honda Accord. So, I'm trying to play this little joint when I have a little joint in the car with me. So,
listen,
so
man,
it reminds me of those times.
I'm just looking at the songs on this album. All Night Long, You Bring Me Joy, the title track, I'm Going Down, Mary's Joint, I Love You, Be Happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know people like to say this. No skips on this album. None.
None
No
at
skips.
all.
Yeah. So also, like, this is a good point. Like, shout out to the late great Chucky Thompson.
Oh yeah, he had the
He
touch too.
laced her with some gems. He had some touch on that.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we got to definitely give Chucky Thompson his belated flowers on that, because he certainly did his thing on this album, man. That was a hell of a choice, Q. I like that, man. Yeah, My Life by Mary J. Blige. And like you said, this is, again, one of those albums where I wore the back of that CD off, because I listened to that album all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. And the good thing, I think JR has said this before on one of his episodes on the R&B rep. Shout out to JR and Elise. But they both said, like, back then, you got to live with music for a lot longer than you do now, because artists are pumping out music left and right. So now, back then, they gave you a product and you got to sit on it for like a year or two and listen to it and learn the songs and read the liner notes and find out about it and who produced it and what samples was used. Like, that was important back then, like, to live with the music. Like, I just feel like the market is so oversaturated with music. And when people always say there's no good music out there anymore, there is. You just got to go searching for it.
Well, yeah, because it's not like, like back in the day, artists had to take their time and create the music. And it also took time for it to get to the market. They had the budgets to build the hype up for you to buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Long before, it hit the stores. It's not like now where, I mean, if I was able to get some equipment, I could craft something together, probably 15 minutes, boom, internet off top.
Yep.
Don't have to worry about no A&R, no packaging, no this, that. All I got to do is just press a button.
That's it.
So,
yeah, technology was a game changer as far as that's concerned. So, yeah, definitely an excellent choice right there, Q. So, my number 2 is I mentioned her when we talked about monumental moments. I mentioned her first album, All Hail the Queen. So I am doing the Queen Latifah album. I debated back and forth on which one I wanted to do, whether it was this one, Nature of a Sister, which is her second album, or Black Rain. And I chose Black Rain. And I chose Black Rain off the strength of the lead single off that, UNITY, the Unity.
Yep.
I had to. And we're talking Women's History Month. This song right here is the epitome of women's empowerment. Who you calling to be?
Yeah.
I mean, that song is and still was and still is an anthem of women empowerment. Like, basically telling brothers, you're not gonna talk to me any kind of way.
And it's interesting when that album came out, because that's what the music was, unfortunately, leaning towards, where a lot of the songs was coming out with calling women, the B word.
Yeah.
Or worse.
Exactly.
So that was her way of basically kind of pushing back, like, hey, you know what? Slow that down. I'm not that.
I'm not that.
But go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. You good.
Now, I was going to say, one of my favorite tracks off that album actually was not so much UNITY. Don't get me wrong, it's a dope track. My favorite track is Weekend Love, where she actually was singing, and that showed her vocal skills.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to get into that, man. You kind of beat me to it, but that's cool. Look, you and the Her Diva said the same thing. Weekend Love was my favorite. That is a joint. Like, she showcased the fact that she not only could she rap, she could also sing as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you still follow Queen Latifah's career, you know that she has released several albums where she's only singing. Yep.
And I like the fact that Queen Latifah didn't just she didn't let herself get pigeonholed. Say, like, she took this and said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take rap and I'm gonna see if it's gonna catapult me someplace else. And it did. Because she pivoted over to acting. Then she was able to pivot over to singing, and she did both, all at the same time. So shout out to Queen Latifah. I mean, she gave, the blueprint for, female rap artists to make different pivots should things go differently on the music side.
So yeah, definitely so L. Abney says Black Rain is not talked about enough. She showed her vocals in the song dedicated to her brother. Absolutely. If you remember, so this album dropped in November 93. Living Single dropped. Living Single came out in September '93.
Yep.
So I feel like this album was perfect. The release of this album was perfect because it sort of rolled off the wave of success that Living Single was having at the time. In fact, if you remember, this video actually debuted after an episode of Living Single.
Yep, it sure did.
Yep.
I do remember.
Yeah. She won a Grammy for Best Rap Solo Performance. The album went gold. It is still her most successful album to date. Another song I love on this album actually it was released as a single. Is Just Another Day. Yeah, got that Herb Alpert "Making Love in the Rain" sample on there. Yep. Like, and she's singing the hook on it. Like, it's just such a laid back groove. Like, basically, like she talks about the good things in her neighborhood. Like, yeah, I'm from a rough part of Jersey, but like life ain't as bad as it seems.
Right.
Yeah, and also KG from Naughty by Nature got his imprint all on this album, man. So were they not signed to her management company, Flavor Unit?
They were.
Yep.
They were. Thought so. They were all part of that Flavor Unit collective.
Yeah. So definitely, that's dope, man. So yeah, Black Rain by Queen Latifah is my second hip hop album. I got this shirt on right here. The ladies of the mic got Queen Latifah right there. Got the chain with the motorcycle key on it. It's dedicated to her late brother Lance. Yep. Yeah, so definitely. Oh yeah, I didn't realize this either. Did you know that Outkast was on Flavor Unit management?
I did not know.
Man, listen, Queen Latifah had her hands in everything.
I mean, leave it to my LB to find that out because he's shout out to team.
Yeah, shout out to Walt, man, for that.
Well, I did not know that.
Me either. All right, Q. We're gonna go.
And JR just told us that Monica was too.
Oh, snap. Wow.
Okay.
Man. Okay. Listen, hey, we try to teach y'all something. Y'all teach us something back. It's all good. That's what it is. Each one teach one. All right. So here we go. Number 3, Q. What you got, brother?
So number 3. Now, this one right here is from one of my absolute favorite artists of the neo soul movement. If you know me, you know. None other than Jill Scott, who gave us Beautifully Human, Words and Sounds Volume 2, came to us via Hidden Beach, August 2004, and it went gold. I feel like it should have went double platinum, and not just because I like Jilly, but it's a solid album.
It is.
Start to finish. Jill is one of the people that I feel like I wish she had came out a little bit sooner in the neo soul movement. I mean, I know that Erica was really the one that kind of kicked it off. But I feel like if Jill had came out at the same time, it would have been a tough competition, kind of like how it was between Foxy and Kim. But yeah, this album right here, solid start to finish. My favorite track is Family Reunion.
Yes.
It's a whole vibe. It just, I mean, you could just close your eyes, listen to the song. It's gonna put you in that space like you're at your own family reunion. I mean, she describes everything that could possibly go on with it, down to dancing to Frankie Beverly. You know, Helen Oman made her lemon cake mad because it got turned over because 2 family members fighting.
Yeah.
You know, potato salad with too many green onions that had turned it green. Yeah, so just it's a dope album.
It
solid,
is, man. And it hits on everything. Love, relationships, like I said, the family dynamic. I mean,
she has a song on there, and I forgot to write it down, but basically, where she basically says, "I need you."
The fact is, that's it. The fact is, I need you.
The fact is, I need you.
Yeah, the fact she says it like she's like, I can do all these things by myself.
Right.
But the fact is, I need you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So she was showing some vulnerability.
Yeah. She also gave us an anthem on this. She gave us
Living My Life Like a Golden.
Gave us Golden. You know?
Yeah. That was a dope track too, because especially around the time when it dropped, because a lot of things was going on in my life where I was not necessarily living golden, but all I had to do was just hold on, and those days were coming. So again, shout out to Jilly from Philly.
Yeah, man. It's funny, man. This album, you got to be a real Jill Scott fan to know how dope this album is, man.
Yeah.
Got to. Yeah. And when I saw you chose this one, I was like, okay, Q in his bag for this episode. Because most people would have chose that debut album versus this one. But this one's solid too.
And that's the thing. I was kind of torn on which Jill album I was going to select. And then I had to think, well, which one did you play the most? And I would say that this is the one that I played the most out of all her albums up to that point.
Yeah. So that's another good choice. Was it? That's your number 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So real quick, this will give everyone a recap. We are here. This is episode 9, season 2 of the Saturday Sit Down. For our March episode, we are showing our love to the ladies. On today's episode is called Ladies First. We're celebrating the women of hip hop and R&B. QG and I are doing our top 5 R&B and hip hop albums by female artists. So we just covered our first 3. Q just did his first 3. I'm about to go into my number 3 next. Mine is from an MC that hails from the Windy City. Okay, because of her and how many times she said it on this album, I learned the zip code to the city of Chicago is 60644. Yep. You know what I'm talking about, right? She said she mentioned that thing so many times. Like in this album, I was like, okay, yeah, if someone put 60644 on something, I know they from Chicago. But anyway, summer 1994, 14-year-old TH. I just remember seeing this video for the first time. And that first single was an absolute banger. Okay. And this song almost went number 1 on the Billboard R&B, on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. A hip hop song going number 1 back then was unheard of. The song that prevented this song from going number 1 on the Billboard R&B was Janet Jackson's Anytime, Anyplace. So the album I'm talking about and the song that's the same title of the album is Functified by the Brat. Listen,
I'm making the wheel motion because when this album dropped, I had just got my, what was that, 94?
Yes, 94.
Summer 94. Okay, so I still have my learner's permit.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to drive by myself just yet because you can't do that till you're 16.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember trying to whip,
yeah,
the car to this. The brat tat tat tat.
The brat tat tat tat. First of all, the single was an instant hit. And when I tell you JD flipped the hell out of that Isley Brothers sample in the sheets on this joint, and I mean, for all of y'all, it was the second single. Give It To You. Not the album version. I'm talking about the remix, Give It To You. One of my favorite hip hop remixes ever. I mean, the album cuts were dope too. Like Mind Blowing, Come and Get Some, Fired Up. Like the Brat gave us a gem for this first album. This album was the first album by a female rapper to ever go platinum. And it's well deserved too.
Well deserved.
I tell you, I have this on vinyl, but I also have the CD. I don't even think the CD can play now. I still have my original. Now I bought it in '94. It's one of the first CDs I ever bought. I don't even think it plays anymore.
Man, I had it on tape. I know I wore my tape out.
Yeah, love that album. The Brat cemented herself as my favorite MC when I was favorite female MC when I was in high school.
Yep, and she was a part of. I think she's the one, in my opinion, that kind of started that Chicago rap movement. Like she was right there with like Do or Die. You know, of course we already know, again, the one that shall not be named. He really put the city Chicago on the map in that era. They were already on the map, don't get me wrong, but he took it to another level. But with this, she completely changed. She changed the game.
She did.
You know, she proved that I can sell, and she worked outside of Chicago with an Atlanta producer. Like, there's a reason why when you drove into Atlanta in 1994, there's a reason why one of the first billboards you saw was So Def.
Yeah. She was
of this.
Yeah, she was the second artist signed to So Def. The first one was Escape. But this album right here put So Def on the map and made Jermaine Dupri one of the go-to producers for not only R&B acts, but hip hop acts as well. So,
and you know what? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. So she was also Billboard she was awarded Billboard's #1 rap artist in 1994. And it was don't get me 94. We talking Billboard. You know what came out in 94? Ready to Die and Illmatic.
Yep.
And Billboard crowned her hip hop's #1 artist that year.
And you know, JD doesn't get enough credit for the remixes. Because JD, quiet as it's kept, JD used to hit you upside the head with some of the remixes.
Yeah.
And he would always pick, like, if a feature was needed, he would always find one of the dopest people, or MCs, I should say, to collaborate with on the remixes.
So yeah, man. So one thing I want to say about this album, and then I'll leave it alone. It was the samples were dope. It was very like funk sample driven. Lots of references to the recreational use of marijuana. And because of the way Brat looked, her attire and her rhymes, many folks said that this album was the female version of Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style.
Yep, I can believe it. Yeah. And wait, aren't they like no, they're not cousins. Okay, I'm thinking about somebody else. But no, you're right. It was.
Yeah, so yeah, the Brat Funktified, one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time. Absolutely love this album still to this day. So yeah, shout out to the Brat, who is now one of the co-hosts on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show.
Yep, she sure is doing her thing,
man. Still doing her thing. Still a household name. All right, Q, we're at our number 4 now. What you got, brother?
All right, so number 4. Ooh-wee. So this one had me in a chokehold. You hear me? I'm talking about from when the video first dropped until the album dropped. Who am I talking about? And let's see, she might be somewhere here on this here t-shirt, talking none other than the beautiful Miss Erykah Badu, who gave us Baduism, 1997, Kedar Entertainment, Universal Records. This album actually went double platinum, but I feel like it should have went more. This, game changer. And I'm talking about with the video. She hits with the video On and On, where she, used subtle references. Like she incorporated elements of the color purple into the video. It was creative. It was colorful. I'm telling you, man, this album had me in a chokehold. I played this joint. I remember, let's see, that was 97. That's freshman year. Every other room was playing this album. You would hear all kinds of tracks. Mind you, we in an all dudes dorm because they still had those back then. Shout out to Snowden Hall. I know there's a couple people on here, they're staying that other place called Douglas, but shout out to Snowden Hall. And every other room was playing this joint. It had us in a chokehold. I swear, I think we stared into our eyes too long when we watched the On and On video. And it got us. I remember they played On and On at the club.
They did.
At the club.
That opening intro, boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
Had us singing, stomping, clapping. You know what I'm saying? To On and On. So this album was dope. I still listen to it from time to time. 4-Leaf Clover. It's probably one of my top 3 outside of what's the other one? Damn it. It'll come to me. It's one of my top 3 songs. Apple Tree is dope too. Of course, you got On and On. It's just so many gems that came out of this.
It did. One of my favorite R&B songs, period, is on this album. Other Side of the Game.
Yeah.
Fire. Heat. Like that's one of those songs that like I say this word a lot, and I'm working on a playlist of songs that I deem as perfect.
Yeah.
Other Side of the Game is that to me. Yeah, but like you said, man, like it's so many gems on this album. You named them. On and On, Rim Shot, Apple Tree, Other Side of the Game, Next Lifetime.
Next Lifetime. That's the song. Okay, that's the one I couldn't think about. I played Next Lifetime over and over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it just was so like relatable. And yet it was so soulful. Like, I mean, it made you want to just light incense every single time you wanted to just hear one song. You just light an incense. Just, some people, probably sparked a few things to it, and that's cool, But yeah, it was definitely instant music.
Hey, so, yep. Yeah, man. Like a lot of people, you got a lot of good responses off this album in the chat, man. So yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of people love this album. I think JR said it in here, like this is his favorite Erica album. And
Yeah.
I understand why. I get it. I get it. This is, along with D'Angelo's Brown Sugar, are the two albums, in my opinion, that sort of kicked off
Mhm.
that neo soul movement.
Yep, and I think, with D'Angelo's album that came out before, Erica Badu's, they didn't really know how to categorize his album. They didn't know how to
Mm-mm.
categorize the music. They were still trying to figure it out. But when Erica dropped, Baduism, it was like, okay, this is gonna be neo soul. Now, some people
Mm-hmm.
have, issues with it being called neo soul because soul never really went away. But if you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, it was kind of like a renaissance, you
It
know.
was. Yeah. When starting the use of live instrumentation as well
Right.
as the lyrical content. Kedar Massenberg, like you said, he's the one who sort of coined that phrase.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, excellent choice right there, man. So I'm gonna cheat for my number 4. Okay, I'm gonna cheat. You saw it already. Okay, so these two albums, I call these sister albums because they both dropped in the same year
Yeah.
with two female rappers from the same state, same area. Um, these both of these albums dropped in 1996. I think they dropped maybe less than a month apart from each other. So
Literally, yeah.
my 4A and my 4B are Lil Kim's Hardcore and Il Nana by Foxy Brown. Okay, and let me start with Lil Kim. Okay, gotta talk about this. Players Anthem, 1995. Junior Mafia's Conspiracy Theory album.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that music video, she came in the last verse,
Yeah.
stole the show.
Yeah.
Stole the show. It was like somebody threw her lob, a perfect lob pass, and she came and she dunked that thing, man. Like the way that Biggie and Lance Rivera introduced her to the world was absolutely perfect. Like anytime that she was on a song with Junior Mafia, she shined. She was the star.
I mean, let's be real, TH. Let's be real. If
You're
you
real.
look at that,
You
if
can say it.
you look at Junior Mafia album, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it weren't for Biggie and Kim, and to a lesser extent, Lil C's,
Mm-hmm. We know, you know, yeah. But like I wrote when in my notes, I said Lil Kim was basically a pint-sized female version of Big. And you
yep.
can hear that influence all over her lyrics, man. Like I mean, from her cadence to the way she rhymed, her ad libs and everything. So let's get into
Mhm.
hardcore. You remember the promo poster? The promo poster that probably got a bunch of teenage boys in trouble. Oh my God. Listen, I still remember I had I used to get the Source and Vibe magazine in the
Yeah.
mail. And I remember my mom flipping through that joint and seeing that ad. She's like, look at that, this is just disgusting. I was like, uh-huh, it is disgusting. Yeah. No, man.
Oh yeah, I
But
do remember.
what? Anyway, all right, back on topic. Woo, pull it together. All right. So that first album, masterfully. The cute lady, y'all. The cute took his hat off and started fanning himself. Oh man. So this album was masterfully produced. I mean, No Time,
Mhm.
Crush on You, the remix and the video is an absolute classic.
Yep.
Not Tonight, the ladies' night edition that had Missy and Left Eye and Angie Martinez and the
Yep.
Brat on that joint. She did a female version of Biggs Just Playing Dreams, but she did a female version of Dreams where she talked about male singers.
Yep.
And then Big Mama Thing. Oh, the beat. Whoop. What? You got it going on? What? I mean, that's Biggie all day and then some.
All day.
Yeah. So little known fact about this, okay? Y'all back me up if I'm wrong, okay? Big Mama Thing, Kim wrote that as a diss track to Pac and Faith.
Wow.
And Biggie told her, cut it. So basically, that's why he brought Jay-Z on to replace the verse that Kim had written directed towards Faith.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he brought Kim, he made her change her final verse because that verse was directed towards Tupac. So she was standing 10 toes down for Big. on that song.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So again, game changer album right here. One of my favorite hip hop albums. The song, I think somebody has said it. I think the Her Diva said it. Queen Bish. Yeah. Which was then flipped the next year and used on Mary J. Blige, I Can Love You. And Kim came in.
Yep.
And gave us one of the most famous hip hop R&B collaborations ever. Dope.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, look, JR said, yeah, he said on the original version, Kim went in, Tupac's in your belly to Faith. Yeah, low blow.
Well,
yeah. So now I'm gonna talk about Foxy Brown, Ill Nah Nah. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Foxy was 18 when this album dropped, but when she was doing all those features beforehand, because the first time I heard Foxy Brown, the first time most people heard Foxy Brown was on LL Cool J's I Shot You remix. It's like, who is this girl?
Mm-hmm.
Man, she can flow. And then, so that track was produced by Trackmasters, and they used the strength of that to get her a deal with Def Jam.
Yep.
So again, after that, she appeared on Ain't No with Jay-Z from the Nutty Professor soundtrack, which built hype. So again, young folks, if you're over a certain age, like back then, record labels would slowly put you out there. They give you a feature on a more well-established artist album. They give you a soundtrack joint. They built the hype up.
Yep.
Posters in magazines, posters on the street. Shout out to street teams that record labels had. Those were things that record labels did back then to create the hype. So by the time Foxy Brown dropped this album and they dropped that first single, which is one of your favorite songs, Q, Get Me Home, featuring Blackstreet with that Eugene Wild sample.
Yeah.
The album blew up. It blew up. Mm-hmm. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I did learn that this album went platinum within 2 months. It's the fastest album by a female rapper to ever go platinum.
Again, because like you said, the hype. And I mean, now I didn't know that she did I Shot Your remix before she did Ain't No, because the first time I heard her was on Ain't No. But like I didn't know at the time that she was like 15 when she did Ain't No. And when she did
Ain't No, yeah, she was young, man.
She was mad. And even when she did Case, Touch Me, Tease Me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was still young, and it was like, you a bit young to be rapping about this, but okay.
Yeah. She didn't look like the 15-year-olds in South Carolina. That's all I can say. Ain't no girls down south look like that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But both of these albums were dope, and it was crazy how they both came out within about a few weeks, month, or whatever of each other. And it's sad because they actually were like cool with each other.
They were.
Because I remember, I think it was either the Vibe or the Source.
It was
had
Vibe.
an album cover with the both of them, on there. Yep. And they were cool, they were tight, and then all of a sudden they just broke apart.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
because the industry tried to like pit them against each other.
Right.
Basically trying to make you choose. Like, you want this? You want Foxy? Is it Foxy or Kim? Why can't we have both?
We should be able to have both. But now let's make sure that we're really clear. If it weren't for Foxy and if it weren't for Kim, you would not have Nicki Minaj.
You would not have had Nicki Minaj. Nope. No Foxy, no Kim, no Nicki Minaj, no Glow, no Meg Thee Stallion, no Cardi B. Do I keep going?
You wouldn't have had it because they basically said, okay, you know what? They flipped it because the whole time rap was, rappers had macho, bravado, and they say, you know what? We're going to bring our version of sexiness to the game while giving you hardcore rhymes.
Yep.
And it worked. Because if you notice, going back to, the Brat tried to do that in the late 90s, early 2000s. But what do you like? And everybody's like,
yeah, they did. Yeah. She changed it up.
So so they brought the heat as far as, they brought sexiness, they brought sex, to the game. And that's why both of those albums were game changers. And Quiet as It's Kept, that, in my opinion, was Biggie's plan to try to kind of branch off from Bad Boy when he first started his label with Riviera and Junior Mafia.
Yep. JR said it. I was watching his episode on Mary J. Blige, him and Elisa's episode. They did Share My World. And he talked about that with Lil Kim and Junior Mafia, how he got them signed to Atlantic.
Yep.
And he made sure that Kim had her own publishing. So He Who Shall Not Be Named, wouldn't take it. Hey, don't get it twisted. Big was smart, and he was working on his exit plan by doing that.
Big was hella smart. Big knew what was going on.
He
That's
knew
why.
what was going down. Yeah,
he knew. And if he was not murdered and was still around, Undies would have blew up. Like I don't even think there would have been an Undertainment. Yeah. Like Cameron probably would have ended up signing with Undies because I knew he was tight with Lance. That's just my opinion now. Don't come after me, Cameron. You're dope. But I mean, I'm telling for what it is. If Big was still around, Undies would have been the label versus Lance having to start Entertainment.
Agreed. So last thing on Foxy Brown, man, it wasn't the album tracks that I love, man. I mean the singles. I like the title track with Method Man, The Promise with Havoc, and then of course she did her version of LL Cool J's Rock the Bells, Foxy's Bells. So dope albums. I had to. I know I cheated. I know we said top 5, but these 2 albums to me, you can't talk about one without talking about the other. So my number 4, Lil' Kim, Hardcore, and Foxy Brown, Go Nana. So we are on our number 5. Q, give the folks your number 5, man.
Now I had to kind of save the best for last, and let me see if this person's on my T-shirt. Let's see here. Oh, she very well is.
She better be on there. Yeah, she better be on there. I got her. She on the wall. She on the wall behind me too.
And I just saw her live and in concert during Valentine's weekend in Vegas, and she put on a hell of a show. So I think she put a pause on her residency for now, but she might be cranking back up this summer. So you get a chance. Make sure you go see the one and only Miss Janet Jackson, who gave us the Janet album, 1993, Virgin Records. The joint sold 14 million copies worldwide. This was her debut album on Virgin because Rhythm Nation 1814 was her last album with A&M Records. There was a bidding war for her to sign with a new label, and A&M wanted to re-sign her. She had a bunch of deals on the table, but Virgin gave her the most money. They gave her $40 million, which was unheard of at that time.
That's insane.
And Janet was about her business. Like she literally copyrighted and trademarked her own name. And because what Motown did to Jackson 5,
her brothers,
she owned her own name. 14 million copies sold, debut on Virgin. Who else could top that? My joint on this album was That's the Way Love Goes.
Yes, sir.
I ain't gonna lie, I did buy the album because the cover, 14, 15-year-old me.
Say less.
Yeah. The cover I have on the page is a little different,
Yeah.
Was like, I need to go ahead and get that. And the album's solid. Anytime he plays, y'all say That's the Way Love Goes. I mean, you just can't go wrong with it. And there's no skips.
It ain't no skips on this album, man.
There is no skips on this album. So I remember they hyped this album up so much. I remember going to my favorite spot, Camelot Music, Shop Camelot Music, Dearly Departed. And I remember they had like the posters, like usually in the window at the mall, they would have posters of the various artists that they were spotlighting. I remember all the windows had the Janet album. You walk in the store, the first thing you saw was a display of all Janet, CDs and tapes. That's how much marketing power they put behind it. And it was worth it. It was worth it.
If you remember, so this album introduced the world to a different side of Janet, but she showed it on the video for the last single of Rhythm Nation album with Love Will Never Do Without You. She had lost the weight and she, had a stomach showing and everything. So she showed a different side and she carried that over into this album. And some of the songs on this album sort of fit that theme as well,
Yeah. She tapped in. She tapped into her more, sexy adult side, which I think is what she probably wanted to do for a while.
Yeah.
But it was like she kind of, I don't know if she did it to herself. I don't know if the people around her were holding her back. But on this one, she said, I'm gonna do what I want. And she did. And it was highly successful.
Absolutely. JR said, this album right here in this era where the new girls are still studying. Exactly.
Yep.
Most of your female R&B artists that sort of fit in this vein are following the blueprint established by Miss Janet Jackson on
That's
this
right.
particular album right here, man. Yeah, man. You talked about That's the Way Love Goes. You Want This Again, which was nominated for an Academy Award because it was on the Poetic Justice soundtrack. Like,
Yep.
New Agenda. Man, come on, man. Nothing but hits, and more hits. And all the songs were produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And you know, when you have Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and Janet Jackson, you get magic.
That's right. Flight Time, baby.
Yes, sir. All right. Excellent choice there again, man. Q's number 5, his final choice there was none other than Miss Janet Jackson. So my last album, the way I described this album was that this particular artist and the producer and her friend that they worked together on this album, I feel like they came from the year 2025, jumped in a spaceship and came back to 1997. And they brought that sound from 2025 to 1997, because when this album dropped, nothing in hip hop sounded like it. Absolutely nothing. And the album I'm talking about is Missy Elliott's Super Duper Fly. Yeah. Absolute game changer. Listen, they introduced us to what music would eventually sound like probably 10 years before music actually started sounding this way.
Yep.
Game changing, innovative, creative. Missy paid her dues before she got to this point. You know, she was with the group Girl. They were with Swing Mob, with Devontae from Jodeci. She worked on Raven Simone's single, That's What Little Girls Are Made Of. She was behind the scenes working with Gina Thompson. She had done a guest spot on MC Light's Cold Rocker Party. She was one of the primary writers on Aaliyah's One in a Million album. And with, like I said, these songs held up so well. But it wasn't just the songs. It was the visuals that went along with them, man. The rain. That video was a game changer with the inflatable suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the inflatable suit, the colors with it. Sock It To Me, where the Brat and Lil Kim were like characters in Mega Man video game. Remember that joint?
Yeah.
Hit Them With the He, which was like Castlevania video game, and then Beat Me 911 with Magoo and 702. They were like human dolls the whole time. Man, Missy, she's a legend. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it what it is. There's a reason why she is the first female rapper to be in the first female rapper to be in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and the first female rapper to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She can sing, she can write, she can produce, she can rap. She can dance. She's a damn mastermind, man. And one thing I've always appreciated about Missy is she is unapologetically herself. What you see with her is what you get.
Yes. And so I was just about to say it when you mentioned the Raven Simone song. I read up where they would not, the producers didn't want her to be in the video for that song.
They didn't. They
did not want her in the video. They hired somebody else to basically ad-lib or lip sync her part because they didn't like the way that she looked.
Yeah. Shout out to Michael Jones Jr. Hey, listen, I apologize. Thank you for correcting me on that. I said that Missy's group was Girl. That was with Devontae Swing. That name of that group was actually Sister. So I appreciate that, brother. Thank you, man.
You know, and what I liked about it too is the creativity that came out of the Tidewater area. Because when you at that point, when you thought about Tidewater, you only thought about Teddy Riley, who, by the way, he did put Timbaland on. Like he would give him studio time and let him work on some of the projects. He also put on the Neptunes, but the creativity that came out, like again, as you stated, game-changing album. You know, it took things to a whole different level, different dimension, if you will.
Like I told you, man, it's like they got in this. It's like they went back, came from the future to 1997. It was like, we're gonna give y'all some heat to work with. Like I absolutely love this album. Absolute game changer. It was the first of 6 consecutive platinum albums from Missy. And one thing that people don't talk about Missy, man, is that pen of hers. The sister can write.
Yeah. Oh,
she can write. She can write and she can produce. And she ain't just, like I said, she ain't just a rapper. she can sing her tail off too.
Yep, she sure can.
Yeah, yeah. So, man, love it, love it. Yeah, album
Yeah, me
certified
too. I wore
platinum.
that. I wore that
And
CD
I
out.
wore it out, wore it out. Oh, and also, Lil Wayne always says that Missy Elliott is his inspiration. That's where he gets. That's yeah. He always says
Yep.
Missy is his inspiration. She is his favorite rapper of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So yeah, that's my number 5. Well, I feel like that was appropriate to end there with mine. So let's do a quick recap for those people who may have tuned in late. And Q, I'm gonna let you share your list and tell everyone what your top 5
Okay. So
R&B albums are.
yep, real quick. Sade, not Sade, Sade, Diamond Life, Mary J. Blige, My Life, Jill
Mhm.
Scott, Beautifully Human, Words and Sounds Volume 2, Erica Badu, Baduism, and Janet Jackson, Janet.
All right, so my top 5 were Salt and Pepper, Hot, Cool, and Vicious, Black Queen Latifah's Black Rain, Functified by the Brat, Hardcore by Lil Kim, and Il Nana by Foxy Brown, and then Super Duper Fly by Missy Elliott. Okay. Also, we always end our list with saying songs or albums that did not make the cut. So, Q, what are your R&B albums by female artists that did not make the cut?
All right, so I'm gonna make this because I got a pretty extensive list. I'm only gonna give you I'll give you 5.
Okay.
So first one, Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, Lady Soul, and the
Mhm.
Sparkle soundtrack.
Yeah.
Dope.
Mhm.
The Emotions gave us Rejoice and the Flowers albums.
Yes.
Again,
Yeah.
dope. Produced by
Yep.
Maurice White. Shout out
Mhm.
late Maurice White. Mary J. Blige, What's the 411?
Mhm.
Monica, Miss Thing,
Mhm.
which also was a game changer within itself. And I'll give you one more. You know what? I'm gonna give you Patti LaBelle's "I'm in Love Again."
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent choices there. My honorable mentions were before I get into mine, I want to shout out this brother again, Michael Jones Jr. Man, thank you for tuning in today. But this song I actually went back and added to our list that we did when we talked about movement music, and that song is the song that was on the the Panther soundtrack, the song "Freedom," and that song featured very prominent female rappers. That song is
Yep.
actually turning 30 this year. So shout out to Michael Jones for bringing that up, man. I appreciate that. I actually went back and added that to our playlist after we had done our show there. But that's an excellent song. I
Oh
don't,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, you can't even find that on streaming right now. But you can you can find the video on YouTube.
And
Yep.
I mean, I like that. That song was dope just because you got to look at who all was included. And you know, the
Mm-hmm.
standout was to me Michelle and Cello on, you know, because she
Yes.
was on the guitar doing her thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember TLC had their part.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And right about now, that song fits. And that's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it
say about
does.
it.
All right, so Q, I know you did R&B, but I'm gonna mention this album in my honorable mentions, the Wait and Exhale soundtrack. Okay,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, got to mention the Wait and Exhale soundtrack. But some of the albums by female artists, rap artists that I left off was Invasion by Cardi B,
Mm.
Invasion of Privacy by Cardi B, Light as a Rock by MC Light, the self-titled album by The Sequence, Rough Riders First Lady by Eve, All Hail the Queen by Queen Latifah, Roxanne's Revenge by Roxanne Shante. Can't talk about women in hip hop without talking, at least mentioning Roxanne Shante. Missy So Addicted by Missy Elliott, and then Collage by Bahamadia.
And let's be clear about Roxanne Shante. Shante was the one that, like, the sequence basically they was able to kind of crack the door open,
Mm-hmm.
but Roxanne Shante kicked it in.
She kicked it in.
You know, she gave birth to most of the damn MCs. She ain't lie. She did.
Yep.
Because without Roxanne Shante doing her thing, she opened the door.
She
so
did.
shout out to Roxanne.
Yeah, definitely got to give Roxanne Shante her well-deserved flowers. So, audience participation. All right, those of you who are watching, tell us some albums that we did not mention that you would have included in your top 5 albums by female R&B and hip hop artists. So drop those in the chat real quick. And while you're doing that, Q, kind of tell the people what we're gonna do for audience participation once they've dropped some names in the chat.
So we decided instead of doing a this or that like we normally do, we're gonna do a start, bench, cut. We're gonna give you 3 artists: start, bench, cut, ladies first edition. So this one is going. This one should be good. This one should be good. I want to see, if we're gonna be able to set this thing on fire with some of our suggestions. Because I already know a couple people that's gonna be like, "What you did? What? I can't believe this." So so get ready.
Get ready. So what I'm gonna do. Okay, so let me say this again. This is a family friendly show. We got to make sure I know. So you got to be presentable to come on camera. Okay, so what I'm gonna drop the link to the show in the chat. Okay, all right. Access that link right there. If you are interested in jumping in, okay, please do. But what I want to do, I want to get some audience participation. We want to get some audience participation in our start, bench, and cut. So if you know anything about sports, we're gonna say who's the person who's gonna be our star, who's the person who's gonna come off the bench to provide support for that star, and who are we gonna take off the list completely and they don't make the squad. Okay. So if you're camera ready and you can you're camera ready and you're interested in jumping in, please do. Oh, there we go. I think we got a participant. Let's go. All right, Michael Jones Jr.
Before we jump it off, there's a couple of albums that were dropped in the chat.
Oh, let's do that.
So Karen White, solid choice. Anita Baker. I had a hard time trying to figure out how to include Anita. Not overlooking her, but I had a hell of a time trying to include her. Brownstone was also another group with solid cuts and a debut. Tony Braxton,
Tony Braxton's debut. Yeah, man. That's what I still listen to.
I still listen to it too. And she started a trend with the Tony Braxton haircut.
That's what I call it. Yeah.
That particular style, I call that the Tony Braxton haircut.
That's the Tony Braxton do. All right. So listen, we got somebody who has responded. All right, I'm gonna add Mr. Michael Jones Jr. What's up, brother?
What's up?
What's going on, man? Hey, listen, man.
Hey, you know how it goes.
Yeah. So what we gonna do, man? We're gonna ask you some questions. All right. Don't think about it too long. And I can't wait to see how people respond in the comments. So the first one is start, bench, or cut. Patti LaBelle, Aretha Franklin, or Gladys Knight.
Start Patti LaBelle.
Okay.
Bench Gladys Knight. Oh. Y'all votes?
Yeah. All right, you got it?
Right, I got it.
So you said start Patti LaBelle.
Mm-hmm.
Bench Gladys Knight.
Bench Gladys Knight. And
Aretha.
Cut Aretha. Oh boy.
Cut Aretha.
Oh boy, you're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me for this. I told you.
Yeah, it's all right, man. Listen, it's your choice. Go for it.
This is your choice.
All right. I'll start Patti LaBelle and bench Aretha Franklin and cut Gladys Knight.
All right, let's do it. All right. Next one. Start, bench, or cut. Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, or Janet Jackson.
All right. I'll start with Janet Jackson, bench Whitney Houston, and cut Mariah Carey.
Okay. All right. Next one. Start, bench, or cut. Mary J. Blige, Faith Evans, and Deborah Cox.
All right. I'll start with Mary J. Blige, of course. And then I'll bench Deborah Cox. And then I'll cut Faith Evans.
All right. All right. Couple more on the R&B tip.
All right.
Start, bench, or cut. TLC.
All right. I'll start with M. Oh, you go. Continue on.
Okay. Start with En Vogue. Okay.
All right. Start En Vogue. Bench SWV and cut TLC. I'm sorry. I benched TLC.
No, man.
Oh,
boy. You can keep it. You can keep it.
All right.
It's your choice, bro.
I know JR, he's going to block me for this. I hope not. All
right. Next
one.
Another person. Start, bench, or cut. Janae, 702, and Escape.
Okay. I'd start with Escape, Vince Chennai, and cut 702.
Okay. All right. And last one. Start, bench, or cut. Evelyn Champagne King, Patrice Rushen, and Patty Austin.
I start with Patrice Russian, bench Evelyn Champagne King, and cut Patty Austin.
Okay. Okay.
I
All
can't
right.
see it.
All right. Well, listen, Mike, man, we appreciate you jumping in with us, man. It's our first time
Thank
doing
you.
audience
Thank you.
participation, man. All right, I'm gonna remove you from the stage. Thanks again, my
All
brother.
right.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Salute.
All right. So let's do the hip hop edition. All right. Hip hop edition. All right, Q. This one's on us right here.
Right.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Let's go.
Start, bench, or cut. Roxanne Shante, The Real Roxanne, or Shy Rock.
Start Roxanne Shante, bench Rock, cut Real Roxanne.
I'm going with that order too. Without even thinking about it. I'm going with that order. All right. This one's gonna be a little bit more difficult. Start, bench, or cut. Missy Elliott, The Brat, and Eve.
Same order. Start
Same.
Missy, bench the Brat, Eve gotta go. I love Eve, but
Yeah. You know what? I'm glad. I'm glad we on the same page with this one. I love Eve, but I gotta go. Same thing. Start Missy, bench the Brat, cut Eve. All right. Next. Here we go. Foxy, Kim, or Nikki. Start, bench, cut. I'm gonna go with this one first. I'm
All right.
start Lil Kim.
mhm.
I'm gonna bench Foxy. I'm cutting Nikki.
You know what? I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna start Lil Kim. I'm gonna put Nikki on the bench, and I'm cutting Foxy
Oh, okay. Why?
because I'm thinking in terms of longevity.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, Kim got to star her. She's the
yeah,
one that kicked it off.
yeah.
Nikki basically came in and kind of, put her own spin on Kim's sexiness. But I got to cut Foxy because after that, the Candy album was not that great,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. And then after that, she just disappeared. And I know, she had a few health challenges or whatever, but still,
Yeah.
I got as much as I love Foxy and Get Me Home, I had to cut her.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next one. Start, bench, cut. Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, or Glorilla. All right, I'm gonna take this one. All right. Whew. Man, it's hard. Okay. I'm starting Glow. I'm benching Meg, cutting Cardi B. That's hard, man. I tell you, we said we're not gonna think about it a long time, but that's my order, man. Oh man, that hurt.
That hurt, yeah, because I'm starting Meg.
Okay.
I'm starting Meg. I will
What's up, Meg?
I will put Glorilla on the bench, and I'm gonna cut Cardi also.
All right. Okay.
But then we're gonna bring Cardi back on a 10-day contract so that her and Meg could give us another version of WAP Part 2.
Banger. Shout out to Meg Thee Stallion.
Yes.
All right, man. All right. JB said somebody tag Cardi. You better not. All right. Next one. This one hard right here.
Oof.
Start, bench, cut. Queen Latifah, MC Light, or Lauryn Hill.
Damn.
You go first.
Why I got to be on the spot, man? Damn.
I did the last two. You gotta go.
All right. I'm gonna start MC Light. I'm gonna have Queen Latifah coming off the bench, and I'm cutting Lauren. And the only reason why I'm cutting Lauren is because she only gave us one album.
Okay.
Lauren should have gave us more than one album, but I understand why she gave us the one album and kind of dipped out. But again, I'll be willing to bring her back on a 10-day contract.
Okay. All right. Okay. Don't think about it too hard. Let's go. I'm gonna start Lauryn Hill. I'm gonna bench MC Light. and as hard as it is for me to do this, even though I chose one of her albums today, I'm cutting Queen.
Whew.
And I'm leaving it at that. I ain't saying no more. All right, next. All right, last one for female MCs and female rap groups. Salt and Pepper, JJ Fad, Oaktown 357.
Well, that's simple. I mean, I'm gonna start Salt and Pepper, of course.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have JJ Fad coming off the bench. I'm cutting Oaktown 357.
Okay. I am starting Salt and Pepper. I'm doing it in this order. Start Salt and Pepper, bench JJ Fad, cut Oaktown 357. All right. So yeah, that concludes our audience participation part of the show. Thank you, Michael Jones Jr., for jumping in on the R&B challenge. Yeah, thank you, sir, for jumping in. You didn't make yourselves no friends today. We forgive you, man. Again, it's your choice. The folks at home, I know y'all were probably like mad at us for putting those three together, but the point of this was to make it difficult for you to choose. Okay, so
right. We wanted to get things jumping. So your choice is your choice. We not here to beat you up about it, because I mean, trust me, I'm pretty sure, as JB said, Hammer wants to see us about Oaktown 357.
Yeah,
but it's all love.
It's all love, Hammer. I don't want no smoke with Hammer.
I don't want no problems.
Nope. All right, Q. Tell the folks about April's episodes.
Oh, you know what? April, we are going to do LaFace Records versus So Def. Two premier labels that came out of Atlanta in the late, in LA, in LaFace's case, late 80s, early 90s. So Def came in 91, 92. We just going to, pick the artists, see how they stack up. But I'm telling you, these two labels dominated. They put Atlanta music on the map. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was known, because Cameo setting up shop there. Brick, put them on the map in the 70s, and the SOS band. The SOS band, came out of Atlanta in the early 80s. But LaFace Records and So Def took the city of Atlanta to the next level. And in fact, I'll be willing to say they are the reason why more eyes, so to speak, was focused on Atlanta, in addition to the Olympics, and how it boosted Atlanta to become a major international city, as well as Black Hollywood.
Yep. Atlanta is sort of the mecca for Black music and entertainment now. So we're definitely going to discuss that. We'll get a little bit into that commentary. We discussed this a little bit last year when we did our The South Got Something to Say episodes too. But on these episodes, particularly our live episode, we're inviting back our good friend and fraternity brother, Wally G. He's going to be joining us as we discuss LaFace and So Def. So again, both episodes, the short, which is pre-recorded, and the live episode will be focused on LaFace versus So Def. So be on the lookout for those dates via the flyers on our Saturday Sit Down Instagram page. So be on the lookout for that. So we're looking forward to sharing that with y'all. So before we close out, I always like to say, tell a friend, tell an enemy too. Tell your mama, your sister, your brother, your baby daddy, your mama's mamas, your grandparents too, to like, share, subscribe, and follow the Saturday Sit Down on YouTube and Instagram. You might just learn something when you join us.
Yes, might. And you'll have fun along the way, too.
Yeah,
but you got to take my word for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, like, share, subscribe, follow the Saturday Sit Down. Several weeks ago, we hit 200 subscribers. As of today's episode, we are now at 213. So we're trying to continue to grow this platform. So continue to please spread the word, y'all. I promise you won't regret it. Again, this is our way of sharing love for music with y'all, but we also like to come on and have fun as well, and stir up a little controversy every now and then.
Yeah.
All right. So in closing, thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Saturday Sit Down. I am T. Harris.
And I'm QG.
All right. So you guys have a blessed day, blessed rest of your day, a blessed week. And we will see y'all in a few weeks when we start our LaFace versus So Def series. Y'all have a good evening.
Y'all have a good evening. Peace out.